What if I told you that your grandfather, your father, and now you are all making the exact same financial mistake? A mistake so invisible, so perfectly disguised as common sense that entire generations watch their wealth vanish before their eyes without ever understanding why. This is the true story of the Chen family, and by the end, you'll discover why this pattern repeats every 25 years like clockwork. Chen Wei sat in his modest apartment, hands trembling as he held a newspaper. The headlines screamed about the new stock market boom. His coworker had just made 3 months' salary in a single week trading stocks. But Chen Wei remembered the stories. His own father had warned him, never trust paper, only trust what you can touch. So when everyone at the factory began trading stocks, Chen Wei made a different choice. He took his life savings, 30,000 yuan, and bought gold. Physical gold bars, heavy, real, safe. This is wisdom passed down from your great-grandfather, he told his son David, then just 15 years old. In war, during chaos, during market crashes, gold survives. Everything else is just promises on paper. David watched his father hide the gold bars beneath the floorboards. Over the next 10 years, something remarkable happened. The Shanghai stock market exploded. Chen Wei's co-workers became wealthy. Some retired early. The man who had worked beside him for 20 years bought 2 apartments from his stock profits alone. But Chen Wei? His gold sat beneath the floor, safe, secure, and barely moving in value. By 2005, Chen Wei's 30,000 yuan in gold was worth approximately 35,000 yuan, a modest gain. His co-workers' stock investments worth over 400,000 yuan. Chen Wei never spoke about it, but late at night, David could hear his father pacing. The weight of the missed opportunity was heavier than the gold bars themselves. On his deathbed in 2010, Chen Wei gripped his son's hand. "I was too afraid," he whispered. "I let fear dress itself up as wisdom. Don't make my mistake, David. Don't let fear decide for you." If you're finding value in this story, hit that subscribe button right now. We share wisdom stories like this every week that could change how you see money, success, and life itself. Don't miss the lesson that comes next. It gets even more powerful. David Chen, now 35, stood in a San Francisco coffee shop watching a presentation about Bitcoin. The young entrepreneur on stage was electric with enthusiasm. "The banks cannot control this. Governments cannot print more of it. This is the future of money itself." David felt something stir in his chest. This was it, his chance to not repeat his father's mistake. He remembered the gold bars, the pacing, the silent regret. Not me, David thought. I won't be paralyzed by fear. He took $50,000, his entire savings meant for a down payment on a house, and bought Bitcoin at $250 per coin. His wife, Linda, was horrified. "David, that's our future, our children's future." "Exactly," David said, his voice sharp with conviction. "Dad played it safe and died with regrets. I won't make his mistake. I'm being brave. I'm seizing opportunity." But there was something David didn't see, something crucial. His father's mistake wasn't being too conservative. It was letting emotion, fear, make the decision. And David? He was doing the exact same thing, just with the opposite emotion, greed disguised as courage. For 2 years, David was a genius. Bitcoin soared. By 2017, his $50,000 had become $850,000. He was intoxicated with success. He told everyone who would listen about his brilliance. Then came the crash. December 2018, Bitcoin plummeted from $19,000 to $3,500. David held on. Diamond hands, he told himself, repeating what he'd learned from online forums. Only weak people sell at a loss. But this wasn't wisdom. It was the same paralysis that had gripped his father, just wearing a different mask. He needed money for his daughter's medical emergency in 2019. Bitcoin was still down. He had to sell at a massive loss, withdrawing only $45,000 from his original $50,000 investment. The house he could have bought in 2015 for $400,000, now worth $700,000 and completely out of reach. David sat in his rented apartment, a newspaper in his hands, now digital on a tablet, reading about the housing market boom he had missed. And he heard his father's voice, "Don't let fear decide for you." But David realized too late that his father should have said, "Don't let emotion decide for you." Fear, greed, pride, revenge, they're all the same poison wearing different disguises. Melissa Chen, 24 years old, sat across from her financial advisor. She had $30,000 saved, the exact amount her grandfather had started with, adjusted for inflation, which felt somehow meaningful. "I can put you in a diversified portfolio," the advisor said. "Stocks, bonds, some international exposure. Historically, this approach..." "What about AI stocks or crypto? Everyone's saying we're at the beginning of something massive." The advisor paused. "Those can be part of a portfolio, but..." "My grandfather played it too safe and missed everything. My father took a big swing and lost it all. I need to find the balance they missed." She went home and stayed up all night researching, and in her research, she discovered something that changed everything. She found a letter her grandfather had written but never sent. It was addressed to her father, dated a week before Chen died. It read, "David, my son, I must tell you the full truth before I go. The real mistake I made was not that I bought gold, it was that I bought only gold. I put all my faith in one idea, one story I told myself about safety. Fear made me rigid. Your great-grandfather didn't say, 'Only trust gold.' He said, 'Never trust just one thing.' But I heard what I wanted to hear. I let one emotion guide every decision. Don't make something yours just because it's not mine. Find your own balance." Melissa sat back, stunned. Both her grandfather and father had made the same mistake. They just used different vehicles. Total commitment to a single idea, a single emotion, a single story about how the world works. Her grandfather's story? Only physical assets are safe. Her father's story? Only bold risk-takers win. Both wrong, not because gold is bad or Bitcoin is bad, but because only is almost always wrong in investing. Melissa made a different choice. She put $10,000 in diversified index funds, boring, steady, unglamorous. She put $10,000 in a down payment on a small condo, real assets like her grandfather valued, but productive ones. She put $5,000 in emerging tech and crypto, controlled risk, honoring her father's adventurous spirit. And she kept $5,000 in cash for emergencies, the wisdom all of them had missed. Was it the perfect portfolio? Maybe not, but it was the first portfolio in 3 generations built on wisdom instead of emotional reaction. 6 months later, the market crashed. Melissa's index funds dropped 20%, her crypto dropped 40%, her condo value dipped slightly. But here's what didn't happen. She didn't panic, she didn't sell, she didn't feel paralyzed. Because she wasn't fighting her grandfather's ghost or her father's regret. She was fighting only the numbers. And numbers, unlike emotions, can be calculated. Her grandfather died with regret. Her father lived with disappointment. But Melissa, she slept peacefully, knowing whether she won or lost, it would be on her own terms, not as a reaction to someone else's fear or greed. The investment mistake people repeat every generation isn't about choosing the wrong asset. It's about letting one emotion hijack every decision. It's about learning the wrong lesson from the previous generation's pain. Your parents zigged, so you zag, but wisdom isn't found in the opposite of foolishness. It's found in balance, in humility, in admitting that no one, not your grandfather, not your father, not you, can predict the future perfectly. The question isn't whether to be conservative or aggressive. The question is, are you making decisions based on your actual situation and goals, or are you just reacting to someone else's story? If this story made you think differently about money, about family wisdom, or about the choices you're making right now, do two things. First, subscribe to this channel so you never miss these stories. Second, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe someone in your own family who's repeating a pattern they can't see. The cycle breaks when awareness begins. See you in the next story.